Hey everyone, I wanted to go over the new and exciting news that we got for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak that's set to release on both the Nintendo Switch and on PC on June 30th. And after Capcom's biggest digital event showcasing a bunch of information for the game, information continues to trickle out and we now have our hands on a couple of brand new images for the Citadel. This is the brand new area that's being showcased that you're going to be able to explore in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. And now with these brand new images, we can now discern entirely and completely the entire topography of the Citadel area. We now know where each one of these areas is going to be located, how big the map is going to be, and basically where just everything belongs. In previous trailers, we simply didn't necessarily have all the information gathered, basically because trailers are kind of cut very fast, so we don't get to see all the details. But now with the information and the new screenshots that we have for the Citadel, we are able to discern just about everything. So starting out, I'm going to show you 6 specific images that are actually shown in the trailer, and then we're going to go over the new images that kind of round out the entire experience so you guys can get a better picture or where everything is. So in this first image we're seeing here, you are basically seeing the hunters on the lower left side of the image kind of running up this left side cliff, which is presumably to the left side will be where Nargacuga will be located. We'll be talking about that in a bit. There's an entire path going forward up to like a circle area where you see those kind of like pokey cliffs kind of sticking out on the left side, and in that area you're actually going to be able to fight Luna Garen. In the trailer where you get to see Luna Garen fighting, that it would be right underneath that specific area. That is where it transitions from woodland area to ice area, and on the right side of the map you clearly get to see the castle area. And now you're going to be able to see also heading forward that the castle actually has 2 specific areas, an outer layer and an inner layer as well. In the second image, you're now getting to see the left side from that specific image that we just saw. You have the option to be able to circle the castle on both the left side and the right side, although we don't necessarily have that many images from the right side. But here we get to see them circling the left side outer layer of the wall of the castle. You also get to see on the background, you get to see these big spires kind of sticking out. Do not get too excited. That area is not explorable, and that is because that is like an outer bounds kind of area that would be outside of the map. You could only see it, but you cannot access to it. We know that based on one of the images we're going to be showing up next. In this specific image that's also shown in the trailer, we see kind of like the hunters wire bugging, like the big wire bug that kind of flings you from one big area to another. And there's 2 specific sections that I want to show off in this, like a little bit of a sequence that they showed for about half a second. The first one kind of like showcases the inner sanctum of the castle area and the outer layers, but then you also start to see this big gap like on the middle side of the image, and then on the left side you kind of start to see the ice area. This is where you begin to kind of understand that the ice area, which is always shown in the background of the maps, is kind of like the upper tier, the higher altitude area of the entirety of the Citadel, and then the castle is kind of like on the right side, kind of like by a cliff. In the same image, you now get to see that big gap that I'm talking about surrounding the entire castle. I believe this called those like a moat, basically like a big hole surrounding an entirety of a castle. This is something that they did in like England back in the days or whatever. So it's kind of like the same thing here. You have this big whole area surrounding the castle that you have to cross a bridge to be able to get into, or you can wire bug your way in from the cliff side, from the icy area, but you cannot seem to do that from the lower tier, from the woodlands area to the top, presumably, or at the very least we haven't seen that just yet. And in this specific image we also get to see the hunters big silk bind or wire bugging themselves from one point to another. And here you get to see on the left side of the image you have pretty much the Nargacuga area. This would be the woodlands area that they keep talking about, which we'll go over in a second. And then on the right side of the map you get to see the entire icy crag area where you're going to be fighting Luna Garen. You also get to see kind of like in the lower side of the image there's like a big like division in the woodland area, like a big walkway kind of a thing. That is one of the entrances to be able to go from that area as well, where we in the very first image that we saw, we kind of saw like the entrance from the castle area. Now we're seeing the woodlands area entrance as well. And finally, in this specific image, in one of the combat ones, we get to see that outside of the castle area, there's a really clear kind of like through line to be able to go inside the castle from the woodlands area, so that would be outside. You get to see the icy area on the left, that would be the upper side, and on the right side, which pretty much in this image is right up front, would be the castle. And you get to see the two layers. You get to see the entrance layer, which we saw in the very first two images, and then you get to see like the spire in the back, kind of like the circly area with the triangle up on top. That will be where Malzeno will be hanging out at. We have better images as that as well. Now, transitioning over to the brand new images that we got thanks to the official website finally being updated with some new information, we get to see the starting area for the Citadel, and this is where basically your hunter is going to be starting out from. Think of it like the Shrine Ruins, whenever you're like at the top and then you kind of slide down into like that big open field. This is going to be your starting area. Remember those big spires that I mentioned back at the second image, where whenever you're seeing on the other side of the water, that is basically those spires. That entire area, presumably crossing the water, you're not going to be able to do that. Usually the starting area is kind of like the corner of a map, so you're not going to be able to presumably go to that side. But if you look upward, that will be basically those spires right there from the opposite side of the water. Moving forward to the next image, you get to see a better, longer view from that starting first image that we got, which is now you will get to see on the left side the wooden area. That would be where Garagom will be hanging out, which we have 2 more images to go over from there. On the right side of the map will be the castle, which you get to see those outer layers, and then all the way on the back you have the Lunagaran icy area. So it's pretty clearly shown here, those 3 specific sections that they talk about, the 3 big lords or whatever they're calling them. Each one of them kind of has their own sectioned off area. On the left side, of course, we talked about Garagom having his own area, and in this image we get to see specifically, it's kind of like the stuff that they showed in the trailer. Basically like that home with the dragon head that he's laying on top of, kind of like a broken down tree, some monsters eating or whatever the hell that might be on the right side, one of those new weird little goblin lizards people are calling, and just that entirely woodland area that you get to see as well. In the next image, however, I do think this was one of the more interesting ones, because we do get to see in the trailer Garagom fighting in this specific sap kind of like covered area. You get to see the sap coming out of the tree from the right, you get to see the sap coming out from the tree on the left, and then like seeping out from the walls on the left side as well. I do think this one is interesting. And you also get to see like the I was gonna say street, but kind of like the road on the back side with those spires in the back as well. So you get to see kind of like how everything makes up the entire scene that we have been talking about. The thing that interested me the most for this specific sap area, other than the fact that Garagom does fight in it, it does make me wonder what other monsters can make best use of this specific area. Usually whenever they have like a specific zone here, this would be like a battle arena specifically for one of the monsters. It does make me think, do monsters like Bareth or even Allmother can make the best use of this area as well? Can you imagine like a subspecies of Allmother fighting in this specific sap covered area? I think that would be fascinating to see. When they're talking about adding new subspecies to the entire game, we're seeing that perhaps this could actually be a clear tell of an upcoming subspecies. Because just to clearly mention as well, the Pine Throwing Bishaten that we do get to see being showcased as well, the brand new subspecies. In the cutscenes where he is fighting in the trailer, he's also fighting in this woodland area, not specifically in this one, but there seems to be kind of like a cratered area there where he's fighting at. That is not in the old maps, that is nowhere near there. That is in this brand new Citadel map as well. So you're going to be fighting him in this specific area, roughly around here, but he has his very own designated zone as well. In the next 3 shots, we're gonna get a couple of looks at the castle area, and basically from the left perspective, this will be in the inner sanctum of the castle. You're seeing pretty much the big spire kind of like area in the middle where you're gonna be finding Malzeno. But then this is basically like the outer area where you are going to meet Malzeno for the first time. If you actually take a closer look at the trailer where Malzeno kind of like descends from top, and you have the hunter saving Fiorraine, this will be Randine's sister, kind of like from his attack. You get to see kind of like this outer area from the castle as well. You also get a look at the woodland area as well, but at night, so it looks all purpley and like scary looking and stuff like that. But this is the woodland area as well. It's just kind of showcased with that like purple glare from the night sky as well. We do get to see one shot in the trailer when you're entering the castle outside of the outer walls. Like at night, it just kind of looks super dark and purpley and creepy due to the moon's glow. And then we get to see the inner sanctum of the area, where this is going to be the Malzeno kind of like fighting area as well. I still hold that based off of the concept art that we have gone over, he's going to be kind of like climbing up the walls in this specific kind of like castle area as well. In the last image, we finally get a shot of some of the icy areas where Lunagaron will be at as well. We get to see kind of like a Remobrus, I believe, in the center, and kind of tucked in the middle lower area, we get to see that little goblin, Roggy kind of looking creature, whatever, the one that was showcased very first in the trailer. We'll get to see that as well. But this is just all icy area. To be fair, out of all the areas that we have seen the least, the ice area is the one that we have not seen all that much of. There's a couple of shots. They don't even show Lunagaron fighting inside of the icy area. He's fighting in the borderline area where I talked about in the very first image, kind of like where it transitions from the woodlands area to the icy area. This is the most inner part that we get to see for the ice area at all. So we have not necessarily seen if there's like an icy kind of like hut or anything like that, or kind of like a crest up on top where presumably a big elder dragon could potentially be fighting. Anything along those lines, we have not seen that just yet, because they've only shown us the outside of it. We haven't seen the inside just yet. So that's about all the information that I wanted to go over. We got a ton of shots for the Citadel. We have the topography now broken down. We kind of know where everything is, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. Now we have some information on this map. If they keep talking about there going to be multiple areas for this Sunbreak expansion, I think the next trailer is prime and ready for them to go ahead and showcase a brand new area. That's just speculation on my part. Capcom, do not get angry at me, but that's just kind of like the reality of the situation. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.